Welcome back, everybody, to a very special bonus episode of Meet Us at Molly's. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Bryna. Unfortunately, Gina is not with me tonight, but that is okay because I have the lovely Hanako Greensmith. Hanako, how are you?
I am good. How are you, Bryna?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited to chat with you for a little bit.
Oh, me too. I'm so excited that you asked me to be on here. I'm so pumped to get to know you guys a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we've been wanting to have you on ever since you came back, or you were on last season, and then we were like, well, is she coming back this season? We're not
Totally.
sure.
Totally. I mean, I was in the same boat as you, so I completely respect that. I'm honored that you thought of doing it last year at all anyway. So thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just curious too, like, what was it like getting that call back that like you were coming back? And
Oh my God, so surreal. Cause I remember, we wrapped 3 episodes early last season.
Mhm.
And so I kind of spent the whole summer being like, will I come back? Will I not? And realistically, he dramatically accidentally proposes to me. And
Yeah.
I was like, that actually is kind of a perfect ending. So I really assumed that like my arc was done and I wasn't coming back. So getting that call in January was super surreal. I definitely was like, here we go, Windy City Part 2.
Were
100%.
you supposed to be in those last 3 episodes that got canned?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, I was
Yeah.
signed up for them. And then, things changed totally understandably. This has been a doozy of a year.
Yeah, for sure.
Please.
So I want to kind of start though at the beginning because I was reading in your bio that like your parents are both classical musicians and obviously you grew up around music. So like what made you get into acting though?
Totally. So I really wanted to be like daddy's girl and like learn how to play cello because my dad's a cellist.
Uh-huh.
And like I just don't have the temperament or the focus for like 4 to 6 hours of practice every day.
Yeah.
And so when I recognized that, I got more into singing and I loved that. And then I found musical theater through that.
Mhm.
And I realized I love music, but I really, really, really love acting and I really love performing. So I went and I stuck with it. I got my BFA musical theater,
Mhm.
graduated in 2018, and then all of a sudden camera work kind of fell into my world and I've been desperately trying to figure it out as we go along since then.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I know that you studied musical theater at Pace. Like, do you prefer stage over TV or film, or like, do you not really have a preference?
It's truly the world's couldn't be more different. Like it's actually insane. I
Mhm.
don't even feel like I've given camera a fair shot yet because it's
Right.
been a short amount of time to judge it. But I will say there's something about camera work. Like it's a much more cushioned atmosphere. You're not doing it 8 times a week.
Mhm.
You're getting, pay is incredibly different. But also there are a lot of other stressors with camera. Like once you have that scene and that take is done and the editor chooses it, you don't get to do it again. That's
Right.
it. If you're having a bad day, it's going to be a bad day forever. So it's
Yeah.
definitely kind of a scarier thing, but they're both great. I genuinely love both.
I know you grew up in the musical theater world. Do you have like a dream musical theater role?
Well, one that I already did, which is kind of silly because I was truly 17 years old, was I got to play Sally Bowles in Cabaret. I don't know
Mhm.
if you're familiar, but I just
Yeah.
that show has such a place in my heart, and that character too. It was just such a challenge, but I mean, I would totally do it again. I'd probably have even more anxiety doing it a second time around, but
Yeah.
like it was pretty amazing that first time.
That's so cool. And I know while you were at Pace, like you wrote a book and lyrics for your first musical, which I think is just so cool. And I'd love to hear you talk about like what first, like what that show's about and just like the process of creating your own show is like.
Oh my God, I'm so excited that you're asking this question. Uh, yeah, no, I wrote it with my best friend, Sandra Okubiejo. She is an amazing, amazing woman. And we were taking a musical theater writing class with a writer in New York City in college. And we just kind of decided after a while, we really worked together. So
Mhm.
we kind of started playing around with some ideas. And the overall universe kind of gives you an idea of what it is. It would be an all female cast, and it's
Mhm.
kind of warrior women. So they're all kind of soldiers almost in this kind of medieval, mythical, nonsensical time where they're kind of both fighting for this kind of vengeance over one another's king's death. And then the two
Mhm.
protagonists end up kind of like falling in love. And we have a kind of Roman, or like I guess I could say Greek tragedy kind of experience throughout the show. But it's been amazing, and she's such a wonderful writer. I love writing with her.
Yeah, I was listening to some of it on YouTube or I was watching some of the clips and it
Yeah.
sounds so good. Like, is that something you guys are trying to like push, make actually happen one day or?
God, yes. Well, we did a workshop over this past in like May when obviously nothing else was going on.
Right.
And so, but since then, life has been so crazy. And also we had to take some time because even when there was not a lot going on, everyone was like, I need time for me. So we took a little bit of a break after that. But we have been talking about it and really want to get back. I would do anything to see it like on its feet and get to see like these women take on this role and see what they bring to it. It's so fulfilling and so amazing and rewarding. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so
Yeah.
cool. So I guess now transitioning into Fire a little bit, I'm curious, what was your audition process like for Fire? Because I know you were on FBI for like a hot second.
Second. Yeah.
But yeah, so like I guess did that help you get into Fire? Like what was your audition process like? Like how did you end up on the show?
Yeah, so FBI, as you probably know, and you kind of indicated already, it's tied with Fire as well. It's the same office.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been going in for like years in that office, and I mean, they were so sweet at that casting office, and they kept saying like one day, something will happen. I promise. So FBI was kind of my first thing. I think they wanted to make sure that I could get through being on set, and I could make sure
Mm-hmm.
I could deliver when the time came. And then with Fire, honestly, it's insane how quickly it happened. Maybe it's because they needed someone pretty last minute. I don't even know, but I only had one audition. I didn't even have to go to a callback, which is
Wow.
insane because like I've never
Yeah.
had that happen. And then they pretty much checked my availability and they were like, great, welcome to Chicago. And I was signed on for 2 episodes with potential for more. And then the rest of the season kind of came around and it was pretty exciting just getting to see what kind of drama they threw Gallo's way. So it's been fun seeing what they have in store.
Yeah. So since you didn't get a call back, like how fast between like when they told you, hey, you booked this role, and then like how fast did you have to be in Chicago?
I think it was something like 2 weeks, maybe.
Okay.
It wasn't insane, but it definitely
Right.
was
It
like,
wasn't like tomorrow we need you on
no,
set. Yeah.
exactly. 8 a.m. flight, pack your bags. No, it definitely was like I had some time to like go to the gym and meditate a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know obviously you've been going in that casting office for a while. So like I'm assuming you were like somewhat familiar with the shows before you joined, but like we
Mhm.
always like to ask like what do you think of this idea of a shared universe like on of this scale like on television? Like especially coming in as someone who's kind of later in the game.
Totally. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, just network television as a whole, the way that it takes care of its actors and creates such like wonderful machinery almost in a way, and the way that
Mhm.
it functions so gracefully and with so much ease all the time. But the Chicago shows, like I have so much respect for you and what you're doing with your work on this podcast because it's like Wednesday, there's a whole saga to watch. There are three
Mhm.
different pieces of this giant world, and it's featuring all these people who are working tirelessly for this city. And Chicago, as I'm getting to know, is such a special city. So I do have so much respect for all the people involved, including you and all the people who are involved in the storylines. It's just such an amazing world.
Had you watched any episodes of any of the shows like before you went to Chicago to start filming?
Yeah, so I definitely tried to watch as much as I could of Fire before I got here, but
Mhm.
I had gone in I think a couple of times for Med before coming in for Fire, so I
Mhm.
think I had seen a little bit of Med, but I didn't watch it all the time.
Yeah.
But when I knew I was coming here, I definitely was like, okay, got to study up, got to get familiar with this world. Yeah, there was a lot to learn, I guess, that I
There's
tried.
a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah,
background there to go try to go through and make your way through it.
yeah,
Um,
totally. Yeah.
so because you were only supposed to be on for originally like 2 episodes and then obviously with the option to join for more,
Yeah.
did you get any kind of paramedic training?
Oh my God, my first day. I don't know if you've chatted with maybe Kara at some point about this, but there is a real paramedic, Michelle,
Mhm.
who's like, yeah, she's like Chicago paramedic. She knows what's up. She knows what she's doing. She's done it for a minute. She literally was like, she just taught me how to put on a cervical collar and do like a blood pressure cuff, like maybe half an hour before I had to actually do it. And
Uh-huh.
I remember like I was shaking. I was so nervous. They're not even that challenging, but I swear I'm
Yeah.
glad the camera caught none of it because I probably looked like I had no idea what I was doing. But
Yeah.
then I will say, like, Kara has just been the most amazing, like, paramedic angel mom guidance teacher. Like, she takes every moment to be like, okay, let's sit down, take a breath. Like, I'm going to teach you really how to use the stretcher, like, how to make sure it looks like we've been doing this for a while and we know what's up. So you're
Yeah.
totally taken care of. And it's so fun learning like all of the ways that these real people are doing like these activities on their everyday basis. It's nuts.
Yeah, it's got to be intense because like you got to make it look like it's real, but like you're actually acting, and I gotta imagine it's like intense trying to figure it all out.
Totally, totally. But so exciting. Like I wanted to be a nurse when I was a kid, but I was nowhere near like good enough at science growing up to ever do that,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So like this is totally satisfying my like 6-year-old's like desire to be part of this world.
That's so fun. So getting into like Violet as like a character, I'm curious, like, are there qualities of Violet's that you relate to the most?
Yeah, I mean, I know that, the more I get to know her and the writers are kind of like giving me more to understand of her,
Hmm.
I really respect this like kind of intense passion she has to like be there for the people of Chicago. And especially like this year, I have so much respect for being a paramedic because
Hmm.
this year, those people have really faced so much trauma and sacrifice for our communities.
Yeah.
And so I think her kind of like undying passion for that and determination to be the best of the best, not necessarily like in a negative, cold way, but like in a
Hmm.
very determined, giving way, is something that I would love to say that I also kind of feel a bit.
Hmm.
Acting, obviously, it doesn't serve as intense of like a life saving purpose, but I think entertainment gives people so much room to kind of recognize themselves and find an escape if they need that, or someone to show them aspects of themselves that they might have not seen before. And I think it can be such a healing thing. So I think in those two regards, I'd like to think we're similar in that way.
Yeah, that's awesome. We got a lot of questions for you from our listeners once they
Huh?
found out you were coming on. And so I'm going to kind of just sprinkle them out. But so one of them, Lois wanted to know, what is Violet's last name officially? Is it
Oh
Lynn
my God,
or is
I'm so
it
glad you're asking.
Mikami?
I'm so glad you're asking this. I can understand that it's really confusing.
Yes.
So, what happened is it was originally Lynn. I came on as Violet Lynn, and then Derek called me before I came back to Chicago this time around and was like, "Hey, like I found out that you're Japanese. Like, would you like to have a last name that's Japanese? We've never said your name on the show, as far as everybody knows.
Uh-huh.
It's not technically been said." So he pitched a couple options and whatnot, and then it became Mikami. So yeah, it is now Mikami, and I understand why people are confused.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think some people were like, did Deadline make a mistake in that article? Like, what is going
Totally.
on?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for having me clarify that. I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It is cool though that Derek like pitched you and was like, hey, like, which one
Yeah,
do you like care for? Like, that's cool. That's
totally.
cool.
I've never gotten to play a Japanese character. I played
Hmm.
Asian characters, but never Japanese. And it was felt really special to have someone like make some kind of specificity around exactly who I am. So that was definitely felt very honored afterwards.
Yeah. Is this, I don't want to speak for you, but like, does that take on a different meaning too? Like, given everything that's going on too?
No, absolutely. I mean, again, like playing a paramedic in this kind of time in our history, it feels really important. It has a total different heaviness to it this year.
Yeah.
And definitely just playing someone who's Japanese and knowing like my family is Japanese, like
Hmm.
it feels more personal because I'm
Right.
able to identify with, even if we're not going to talk about it, like it just
Right.
knowing that I have that name and I have that, I don't
Right.
know, it definitely
And the
impacts.
backstory exists. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So we can't, of course, have you on this podcast and not talk about Violet and Gallo.
Yeah.
I mean, we've obviously loved them since Violet was first introduced, and I'm curious, like, what is your favorite part of that relationship?
Um, I think this might be kind of basic, but honestly, Gallo, similarly to kind of what I said about Violet, he wants to be the best of the best. He will throw himself in first. He will like just blinded with this need to be brave and save.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Violet finds that really not just like attractive, but I think she's inspired by that. And I think she feels the same way to a certain degree. So I think that's kind of where that relationship has started out with. And I think I mean, we'll see what the writers kind of throw in there because I
Yeah.
really know that much more than you guys, but I think that's kind of where it all began.
What's it like working with Alberto?
I think you've chatted with him, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I got to chat with
Okay.
him.
So you know he is a sweetheart. Like
Yeah.
he's really a lovely young man. He is so gracious, and like one memory I'll always have is when I first got here.
Mm-hmm.
As I've told you, I was really nervous. This was like my first actual like gig, and
Mm-hmm.
we had to do that first intimate scene, which was like tearing open a door, like making out, and
Yeah.
like we were like smashing our faces into each other. Like it was a lot for someone you had just kind of met. So,
Yeah.
but he was so great and being like, "Hey, I just want to check in with you. Are you comfortable? Do you feel okay? Like, let me know
Mm-hmm.
if you need space. And that says so much about a person, because it just gave me that room to say, like, if I did feel uncomfortable, I could. And so
Right.
having him be there and like playing for our team was just so comforting. So working with him he is such a great guy. It's been so great.
That's awesome. Samantha wanted to know, do you have a favorite scene you've shot with him?
Yeah. Oh, with Gallo. Okay. I think, oh, you know what? I think my favorite scene was probably our last scene of season 8, where he desperately asks, not even
Yeah.
asks, pitches the idea of marriage. Because
Yeah.
I think by that point, like, Alberto and I knew each other a little bit better, and I was definitely more comfortable with being on camera and understanding the set and the community here. So we were able to let go and like
Mhm.
really react off of one another. And so that reaction at the end was just, it was so much fun to do with him. He is such a great, as I said, team player. So it was really great.
Yeah, and that scene is just such a fun one too, because he's just like spits it out, and we were like, Gallo, like, what are you doing, dude?
Like, bro, come on. You really thought that was the best thing you could say right now? I know. It's
Yeah.
so, it says a lot about Gallo in a good way.
Yeah, and then the fact that he like tries to blame it on like everyone else there. They're like, they told me to, and I'm like,
Please
Gallo, come on now.
use your brain.
Yeah.
Please.
Um,
Totally.
so I know obviously now that Violet's gonna be around, 51, and she's gonna be around Gallo a little bit more permanently. How do you think, like, okay, first of all, do
Yeah.
you as like a fan of the show, like, do you want them to get back together?
Mm, you know what's interesting? I have to say, like, Mackie's exit was so abrupt and so surprising for literally everyone. And
Yeah.
also, let me just say, like, I totally sympathize with the fans feeling like hurt and shocked right now, because you've just gotten to know her and you love her so much.
Hmm.
And in a way, like, I kind of feel that too. I'm like, he had a relationship with Mackie. Like,
Yeah.
that's a whole, and in the firehouse, like, that's a whole, I feel a little bit of an elephant in the room, right? So, like, both as a fan of the show and as Violet, I'm like, I would appreciate some space almost, before we like jump back into things. But at the same time, I really do think that Violet and Gallo have this kind of like intense attraction to each other, and this kind
Yeah.
of like bantery, competitive, like, I don't want you, but I want you kind of way. So I do. I mean, I'm obviously still rooting for them in a lot of
Right.
other senses as well. So hard to.
Yeah. It was like one of those things too. We were talking about it last week. It was like, oh, well, like we're sad that Mackie's gone, but like we wanted Violet to come back. And we like that. It was like one of those things where it's like, I don't know how to feel. Like, what do I feel?
No, that's so justified. I completely hear you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we were obviously excited to hear that you were coming back for
Oh,
more because we do love
so
Violet.
glad. Ah,
Um,
so glad. You guys are the best. So sweet.
um, I am curious though. So we had one of the honestly the most asked questions we got by some of our listeners was, what is the Violet and Gallo ship name?
Oh my God. I mean, oh my God, I haven't even thought of that. Do you have anything that you
Well,
would?
I know we've seen like Vilo thrown around the internet, but like we were like, I just didn't know if you had any like preferences or anything.
Oh my God. I mean, I really should, shouldn't I? I haven't even thought that over. Viola's kind of cute. I guess, yeah, because what else does there leave? I
Yeah,
guess,
we were like, I guess it's the best one out of the combo. I don't know. We were
yeah,
just
I mean,
curious
you
if you had
couldn't really,
any.
I guess they don't often call Violet by Mikami by her last name, obviously, because it
Hmm.
would be confusing, but like McCallow, but then that also, I don't know, because we don't really acknowledge her by her last name. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I'm eager to see whatever pops up and whatever people end up voting for, because it would be kind of cool to have a ship name.
Yeah, that's when you're like official. You get like the ship name
Right?
that's like, oh, like real.
Totally, totally. I mean, Brettsy, right? I'm so down for
Mhm.
Brett. Severide is, I mean, no, what is Stellaride? Literally the
Yeah, still
like,
right.
it was meant to be.
Yeah.
Truly, 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 truly.
So I know you were talking about like what it's like working with Kara earlier. And now that obviously Lizzie wanted to know, like, how do you think Violet's dynamic with Brett will be seen as like you were PIC at your other house and like she's the PIC here? Like, will there be tension at the beginning?
Totally. Well, again, like for this next episode, you'll be learning some more. But
Mhm.
I think honestly, we haven't acknowledged the BIC specificities yet.
Uh-huh.
But I think Violet, she's aware, she totally sees Brett as an equal, right? Like she's like,
Hmm.
here's a fellow woman working in this firehouse, crushing it in Chicago, and I see myself in her and whatnot.
Mhm.
But I think also she acknowledges like Brett is older and more experienced, and she's more established in the CFD. And I think that's important to Violet, to like be around a woman who has been just so confident and so capable. And Violet feels the same, but she has a lot to learn. And I
Mhm.
think Brett can provide that for her. So I think part of why she was so interested in and working with Brett is because she wants to have that kind of mentorship and partnership. And I think they're both going to give a lot for one another and support one another in a lot of great ways. So tension might be seen, but I think first gut reaction here is that they're just really, really loving having this really symbiotic partnership.
I think it's interesting that they haven't even addressed the PIC thing, because like
I know, right?
PIC and she's a PIC. You obviously both can't be PIC, but
I know, right? That was kind of something I had to learn, right? I got to see, and I was like, what is a PIC? And then I'm learning it as I go. But totally, because I realized I was like wearing the bars, I think, on season 8, which indicates that. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it could come up at some point. Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
So I know their, episode descriptions get released a little early. And so we were seeing, it looks like Violet's going to get her own storyline separate from Gallo in, I think it's 9/11.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much you can tease, but like if you can tease anything about it, that episode, and like what else maybe Violet's up to.
Totally. Okay. Yes, I will say it was so interesting and cool seeing her interact with like women rather than Gallo, and seeing how she's like that kind of team player too. So yeah, you'll get to see her interact with more of the females that you recognize. You'll actually see some other familiar faces, which was really, really cool and exciting. And you will meet a part of Violet's past that may or may not have more in the storyline. That's all I think I can say. It's not deep or emotional or intense, but it's like you'll meet a part of her past, which I think for me also was like very interesting, and I'm eager to see where that goes. So yeah.
Was it exciting for you as an actress, like when you got that script for the first time and you're like, oh, Violet has scenes that aren't with Gallo, and like is a storyline, like a whole storyline for her that's like separate from Gallo? Like, is that cool to like read that script for the first time?
Oh my God, yes. It was so cool. Oh my God, it was like, oh my God, I'm not being like Gallo's girlfriend right now. Like that's, I mean, I've loved doing that, but like,
Right.
whoa, that's nuts. You know what I mean? And also like working that much with Kara and having all of these, these moments together was so thrilling and so exciting. You're absolutely right. You hit the nail on the head there. I was definitely like really excited, a little nervous, but mainly really excited.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Casey wanted to know, if you could guest star on Med or PD, is there a character or actor you would be most excited to work with?
Well, I would love to work with Brian, a Dr. Choi, as you know, on Med. He came out with this amazing article on Deadline recently that I read. And so I was just like, oh my God, like he's been the only like significant Asian character in the Chicago universe for a minute. So I would love to just get to meet him and get the opportunity to work with him. So that would be amazing. And then I think I would love to work with Burgess from PD, because she's such a badass. And also I have a connection to her in New York. Actually, I know someone who knows her. And so that would be exciting. And also hilariously, I know that Ruzek was in the Princess Diaries. So that's very important to me. Also, similar wavelength on that. When I met Jesse Spencer, or when I saw him again this season, I was like, Lord James Browning, it's an honor. It's an honor. Winning London always. Winning London 100%. My 12-year-old heart was just bursting at the seams. So yeah, those are some people that, other than Jesse, obviously, because I luckily get to see him all the time, but the other folks from the other shows would be awesome.
Yeah. I know obviously they haven't really obviously done a ton of crossovers this season just because of given everything, but like have you gotten to meet any of the Med or PD kids?
Yes, I have. I can't really give all of them away because you may or may not be seeing some. But yes, I have had the opportunity to meet a few of them, and they are all, they're just so nice, dude. Like everyone here is so nice. It's crazy. It's really, I mean, I will say, like, I love the people that I've met from Med and PD, but I gotta say, the Fire cast and the crew and the atmosphere here, like, everyone's making jokes, everyone's making fun of each other, everyone's having a good time for the most part, most of the time.
Yeah.
Even if it's like 6 in the morning or 5 in the morning or 4 in the morning, everyone is so gracious. Like it's just such a great environment everywhere you go. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
and it really seems like it starts from the top down too, because like we've gotten to know Derek a little bit, and like Derek's just the nicest he can be, and it like really seems like it's like everybody you meet on any of those shows is just like the
True.
nicest human.
You are completely correct, including you. Like you're part of this universe too, and you are incredibly kind. Like truly, everyone is just so awesome. I feel so blessed to be here.
So we of course, obviously, we always like to ask actors when they come on the show, like obviously we're big fans of television. Like, what are some of the things that you're watching when you get like a little downtime?
Okay, so one thing that I finished a while ago, but it's just been stuck with me is I May Destroy You with
Mhm.
Michaela Cole. Oh my God. That is, I wouldn't, if you have like kids or anything, I wouldn't watch it with kids because it's definitely an adult show. But it's just, it asks so many important, amazing questions and it flips on its head like every episode, and your mind is just blown with the complexities that she tackles. And she wrote it, it's crazy. Okay. Another thing I have been watching is actually, have you heard of the show Call My Agent on Netflix?
No, I
It's a yeah, it's a French show. It's kind of predictable, but it's pretty hilarious. I really enjoyed that. And then have you seen Fleabag?
I've seen most of it. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, Phoebe is just she's
yeah,
incredible. Like her humor, her timing, her everything is incredible.
yeah.
And I think, oh my God, I can't even remember. Oh, and obviously Schitt's Creek. Because who can't watch? I mean, have you seen Schitt's Creek?
I've seen some of it. Yeah, I haven't gotten to finish it yet, but yeah.
I mean, there's so much material to watch. I mean, how
I know
about you? You
that's
watching
the
it?
I mean, that's the problem is it just feels like I'm like, oh yeah, let me add this one to my list, and then I'm like, oh, here's 10 more that I need to add to my list.
Exactly. No, absolutely correct. I mean, and also this is a big job too. Like you're doing this once a week on Wednesdays. It's like a lot. I can't imagine how
Yeah.
much you take on.
I mean, we love the shows and like obviously it's fun first and like feels like a job later. But yeah, sometimes it's like, oh yeah, Wednesdays and then Thursdays when we record. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
No, totally, totally. I have so much respect for that. That's so awesome. What kind of shows other than Chicago shows are you loving
Oh
right
man. I mean, we end up both Gina and I kind of end up going back towards the same like firefighter
now? Mhm.
police genre. So like we both are
Yeah.
watching like Station 19 and all the 911 shows. Ooh, what else have I binged recently? I was recently binging On My Block. I haven't finished that on
Yeah, I
Netflix.
know that one. Yeah.
That one was really good. I know, yeah, just all kinds of stuff. I'll pretty much check out anything though. I love,
Totally. I mean, me too.
yeah,
Anna Roy, who directs some of the episodes, she's amazing, and she's been working on 911, and she was talking
yeah,
how like amazing it is. Like they have incredible events and incidents on that show. I can only imagine how cool the special effects are, you know.
yeah. Have you gotten to be a part of any like crazy big accidents yet on fire?
Not crazy big, not crazy big. I mean, it's sad because it probably won't happen. Again, what do I know? But paramedics are very rarely like in the fire,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so cool seeing how they like we were on the burn stage and just like seeing the massive scale of it and all of these talented special effects artists and how they make, I mean, all these pyromaniacs are just focusing on fire every week. It's incredible. So it would be such a dream to like be able to do what, you know, all the other firefighters in the cast get to do each week. It's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy too with like all the equipment and stuff and like how much you actually have to wear, even just the actors like trying to act
Yeah,
with all of that on. It's like it's
don't even. I know. Have you ever, I guess not, but like have you ever had the opportunity to wear bunker gear before?
yeah, so I
Yes.
have because so they do like a big media day typically every year. This year they did it virtually and
Yes.
they did like demos and stuff. So in not last year, but 2019, I guess.
Yeah.
They did one and we did it like the fire one. We put all the stuff on and like the oxygen tank on the back. It
Oh,
was like I was like,
it's
oh
insane,
my
right?
God.
It's
Yeah.
insane. I remember in this last episode, or episode 9, that was the first time I ever wore bunker gear. Like that morning, I put it on. I was like, oh my God, this is really heavy. And then they're like, okay, you're gonna be like running this agility course, and you're gonna grab a dummy, and you're gonna grab a fire hose, and you're competing with Alberto. And I remember just like, Alberto, like, can you please give me like 70 to 80% of what you're giving me right now? Because I'm supposed
Right.
to be neck and neck with you, and I'm about a minute and a half. Editing magic, editing magic. Oh my God.
Yeah,
It's amazing what those people do, like real life firefighters and even the cast just
I
wear
know.
all day, every day.
Yeah.
No, it's super heavy.
It's really heavy. You don't think it's that heavy and then you put it on and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. 100%. You're like, my shoulders are aching. Yes. So true. So
That's
true.
so crazy. But yeah, that is all the questions I had. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really, really appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, this was such a dream. I'm so glad I got to meet you. I truly am.
Yeah.
I admire so much of the work and effort you put into this. It's so admirable.
Yeah. And where can our listeners find you on the interwebs?
On the interwebs, I'm not really great at social media, but you can find me at just my name, Hanako, Hanako Greensmith, on Instagram. And then my Twitter handle is Hanako Flowers. Made that a long time ago.
That's one of those like high school decisions you're like, ooh.
100%. I've had to go back and be like, maybe I should delete some of these things. This was
Yeah.
definitely a 17-year-old me writing this.
Yeah, sometimes I see like my Facebook memories and I'm like,
Oh
why
my God.
did 14-year-old me think that
Really,
was fun to put out there?
truly triggering. Like, why did I have full-on conversations on other people's walls?
Yeah.
I would never do that in 2021.
Nice.
So true.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for having me. It was so great
Yeah,
getting to meet
of
you.
course. And anytime you want to come back, you're more than
Yeah.
welcome.
Anytime you have any other questions, I'm always around.
Awesome. All right. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Yes, you too. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon, Bryna.
Yes, we'll talk soon. All right.
Okay, bye.
Bye.